been hearing me. My goodness. Okay, test. Talking for a minute. You cannot hear me. Let me make sure that my voice is coming through okay. Okay, yes, it's coming through now. All right. So, thank you, everyone. My name is Ryan Knight, one of the co founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network. Wanted to thank you. Hey, we're taking a quick look back. It's December 31st, 2022. We are going to do an ACBN year in review. And really, it was from my images that I was going through my Google Photos, and I said, you know what? Let us kind of put it together and see what had happened since January till now. So there might be things missing where I might have been somewhere and didn't take pictures. So if I'm missing one of your events that I was there, hey, feel free to put it into the chat and we can chat about it. But we are going to actually, you know what? I want to see. Oh, no, this is good. All right. So if we go to the next one again. So one thing to touch on is shout out to my counterpart, my partner, Dr. Vibe, as we host the Morning Vibe twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. So we had continued it from the previous year, each Monday and Friday. When we hit March, it was our was it March? Yes, I think it was March, our 1 year anniversary. I think we're coming close to 200 episodes. So I know we surpassed 100 episodes during the year, but wanted to do a quick shout out. And I did forget, thanks to our sponsors that are going to be continuing into 2023, Alterna Savings and Credit Union, and also Amazon Web Services. Much appreciated for your support. There are a few other sponsors that sponsor other things, but these two have been on board to support us really with how we support other entrepreneurs. So shout out to the Morning Vibe. So 2022, the year of the Black Water Tiger. So hold on. When we get to December, we do have to figure out what is the year of 2023. So what's after Tiger? We'd have to check to see that. But I loved the Black Water Tiger. And so I kind of embraced that for this year. And hey, first Friday's hit. It was the health and fitness edition. So shout out to Warren Salmon. And hey, him being able to work with you to expand First Fridays, and we were able to start doing the Brampton chapter and the Peel chapter. So we're gonna see if we can keep expanding that. Picture of the kiddos, Jasmine and Christian, playing in the snow. I'm not a big fan of the snow, but always love to see the kiddos having fun. Something that's interesting. This is why you set goals. This was the first year ACBN had some money in the bank, which I am truly grateful for. Shout out to Chris Beth Cowie and her daily planner. Helped us really put our goals onto paper. And this year was one of the first years that we had really minimal stress. And so the stress typically comes from having people on staff that you can't pay. So being able to really support our staff and pay for them, having the microloan program launch, and a lot of things that had launched previous to 2022, and then 2022 was really the execution of it. So I don't even remember. I think I took the screenshot because that's the first time I'd seen a chunk of money in the bank, and it didn't just evaporate the exact next second because all the bills are coming out. So that was an interesting tidbit. Want to make a shout out to Jamal Wiggins from MPro Graphics. My daughter and I, with our book Jazz and Dad Start a Lemonade Stand, we were able to join the Young Entrepreneurs Pop-Up Market. And again, he does many pop-up markets, and we want to be more purposeful going into 2023 to really support the growth of and support for business owners. And he's been doing a great job with his mother Sandra has been supporting as well. We're really trying to find what entrepreneurs need this type of support that us as organizations should be there to deliver. So shout out to Jamal, and looking forward to the upcoming pop-ups. I know February does have the Family Day pop-up, so you definitely want to check that out. I believe it's February 19th coming up next year. As I mentioned, we were able to announce that we had gotten the boost from Inspirit Foundation, $250,000 to support ACBN's microloan program. So this is where, if you are an entrepreneur in our community and looking for, I'd say the sweet spot's about 10 to 15,000, but your credit score is stopping you from getting funding at other banks and other programs, definitely check out our microloan program. If you do go to microloan.acbncanada.com, you'll be able to fill out our loan application form. We do ask for your business plan, your cash flow projections, some contact details, and really that's it. We do not take into account we do look at the credit score, but we don't rely on it. So if it's, I know some of these programs, it has to be a minimum of 600 and more. So if it's not that, we're able to work with you and really hear more of your story, create a plan, and then still get you that funding. So we really want to send a big shout out to Inspirit Foundation that believed in our microloan program, and we've been able to support entrepreneurs that are having trouble getting traditional funding. Also, there's the Black Opportunity Fund now that has their loan program where they're able to support entrepreneurs. They do look at under 600, but it's case by case. So if you're looking for up to $50,000, definitely check out the Black Opportunity Fund and their loan program right now. So back to February, we had our Ubuntu Black History Month event, which I really enjoyed because Francis Jeffers from the, I'm going to butcher it, but it's the cultural, the mobile. So he enters museums and museums of Black people from any, and showing how we're inventors. And he also has different type of mobile museums, but they were a lot of the inventors in our community. Always astounding to see what we're capable of and profit from it. But getting to hear more about that in our community was amazing. Of course, in February, we also have the ACBN Legacy Films 2022. It was we did it over 2 days, the Thursday, February 24th and February 25th. This year, we're in, I guess, less than an hour, 2 hours. It'll be 2023, and in February, what you call hybrid. So we're going to be in person at Sheridan, but also still utilizing our platform. We use the World Event Center platform, using that as a hybrid in 23. So the theme is again, becoming investment ready. That is, I feel, ACBN's mantra. What we do to structure our business so that they're investable, whether it's capital from the banks, capital investment, or capital from just your friends and family. You have to build a container machine that is investable. If the business plan makes sense, or the foundation you structure it is flawed to get investment. So we want to make those things are in place. So it has to do with your systems that you've put in place, how you structured your company, the target market, big is this market, the people that are on your team, building out strong teams, I would say trumps almost everything. Like you can have a product, you can have all the money, but if you don't have that strong team, it's very difficult to execute. So really understanding how to build, how to structure your financial. So all of these components are what we focus on for the symposium. And then we took each of those components and had workshops leading up. So I believe it was October, December. The next one is coming up in January. We'll have another one in February. Fine tune leading into them. So now the symposium, you can have a bit of the groundwork already laid out, and then you can really get to work. So stay tuned for that. Early bird tickets are available available. So if you go to our website, you just show you right now. So let me pause that and go. Let me see if I'm able to fix that. Our website, acbncanada.com, you will see 2023 like symposium tickets are available. Early bird tickets because did it cut out? I know. I think it just back on. So now is the time to get your tickets because we locked in our keynote speaker. Dr. George Fraser is back. He's going to be in person. I am super excited that he's back with us because the last time he did our keynote, it was virtual, and people talk about that message that he gave us. So having him in person, getting to meet him, I think just being there is worth the price of admission. And right now, you can get that. So definitely check it. Shared, and I believe it's only about 120 that we can accommodate in person. So if you want to be there in person, definitely get your tickets now. But I will let me see where we're at now. All right, so moving on into February. I don't know if you remember, but this is when Flow, well, previously G98.7, they announced their switch. And then if you remember Flow used to be 93.5. So I thought it was interesting that they were switching their name. But aside from that, Frontlines, I got to take a picture at Frontlines because, and shout out to Station Frederick, that we were able to hire 3 individuals, 3 youth in our community from the Frontlines hiring program. So really wanted to say thank you. And this is actually their new location that they used to be further down the road on Weston. Now they moved into a bigger location. So shout out to their progress. All right. Another awesome thing that was going down in February. Not sure how many of you know about Havaya Mighty, but Havaya Mighty is a Juno Award-winning artist, hip hop artist, rapper, lyricist, and she was doing this 10K giveaway, and it was quite amazing when I heard about it. And thank you to Derek Fagan that showed me what Havaya was doing, because Havaya tells the story. You know, she had won an award that I guess she wasn't really expecting to win, and she got a 10K prize, and she decided to use that $10,000 to invest into grant to entrepreneurs in the community. So she had the applications and she chose, I believe, a final 20, and the final 20 got to come on with her live, talk about their business, and kind of do that final pitch as to why they should get. I believe everyone got, oh my gosh, I think it was 500. Yes. So there was 10 winners. No, at 500. So no, it was 1,000. Yeah, 10 winners got 1,000. So she gave away $10,000 to these 10 winners. So what we did, as I saw the live happening, I reached out to her team and said, hey, we would love to support entrepreneurs as well, along with what you're doing. So out of the 20 finalists, 10 of them got the 1,000 each, and ACBN was able to grant or invest $2,500 so that the remaining 10 that didn't win the 1,000 each got $250. So really appreciate what Hawaii was doing, allowing us to join her in her giveaway and supporting entrepreneurs in the community. Really appreciate, because a lot of times you won't see a lot of people take up this type of project and this type of support for Black entrepreneurs. So seeing this was amazing, and we've been going talking back and forth ever since. Also in February, shout out to Deborah and her team. With Deborah and her team, they launched Culture by Indie Mindy in oh my gosh, Square One Shopping Mall in Mississauga. So it was beautiful space. I believe now they are actually in Dufferin Mall, so they took the same concept and was able to move it over to Dufferin Mall. So if you're looking for culture and you're looking for really excellent outfits for kids, pajamas. You know, my our kids got to wake up and in their Christmas pajamas with Black Santa on them and black faces. So beautiful. Other vendors are also in the store. In this picture as well, you'll see my wife who runs Ebony Occasions. So she has her cards in the culture store, and you'll see sprinkled throughout this recap some of the Black owned stores that are in various malls, and we got to visit a few and showcase them. A project that I've been very blessed to work on is the Pan African Heritage Museum. It's in development, so not a lot to talk about just yet, but they were able to launch their website. So definitely check out Canada. Oh, I think I covered it up. Yeah, I think it's Canada PAHW or PHAM. I have to check that .org just to make sure that you check out what's been developing with this Pan African Heritage Museum in Ghana. It is a spectacular project, and so I'm part of the board of directors for the Canadian division. So stay tuned for more developments from that. Side note: Christian lost his first tooth in February, so much to my wife's chagrin, she wants him to keep all his teeth. But yes, he lost his first tooth. Another store to shout out, Global Blacks, that is in the Oshawa town center. So Oshawa now has Global Blacks, which is right beside Hudson's Bay. So great location. Cher had her cards, Ebony Occasions, in there for a while. And again, a store that's more of a department style store for Black vendors. So if you have those items that we definitely need, like household items, they sold toilet paper, cleaning products, clothing, different jewelry, also books. Definitely check out Global Blacks, and shout out to Samara and her team there. Okay, so now I wanted to find this video of the trailer for Unity. I'm hoping I don't crash my computer here. So let's see if I can find it. So Unity Video was a project that we had taken on in partnership with Sheridan College and their EDGE program, which is the Entrepreneurship Discovery and Growth Engine. So Unity was a way for us to show and really to describe what does Unity mean to each of us. And so each of us, you'll see the organizations that we were able to reach out to the leaders of these organizations and ask them that simple question: what does Unity mean for you? And of course, ACBN, we're deep into the entrepreneurship and economic development. So we reached out to other organizations that are in that similar sphere to get their feedback on what they felt Unity meant to them. So let me see if I'm able to pull this up. Let's see. Oh, all right. So it was earlier. Did I download it? Oh, I don't think I downloaded it. Let's see if it's in here to find easily. If not, I will have to find it later. Hold on. No invoice. All right, that is on my to-do list. I wanted to find that video for you. I shall find it later. All right. Okay. So, what else was happening in February? We had my father retiring, turning 65. So, we had his 65th birthday and retirement party. So, shout out, that's my dad and my mom and Jasmine and Christian celebrating his retirement. I got to MC that and, roast my dad a little bit, but all in good fun. It's amazing to see the work that he put in to create a foundation for my family and my siblings and all of us to really grow from. And yeah, it's you can't say thank you enough. So really proud of what he was able to do. He took up the responsibility and provided for his family. And I'm hoping that he's enjoying retirement. I don't know if he's getting bored. I definitely have to check in with him and see how he's feeling, but I feel so far so good. All right, shift to March. So this is where we started to kick into high gear, helping people with getting access to grants. And you saw at the beginning where I was giving you the glimpse into ACBN finally being able to get some momentum with getting grants and having our bank account actually more stable with funds in it and not always trying to find where the next dollar is coming from. So we started doing the info sessions in partnership with Empowered for X and also doing working groups. So a big thing that I noticed is typically when people get grants or get funding, they don't really share notes. So when we got funding through wherever it is, we do these info sessions about the grant itself and share what we wrote. So if you are looking for help with your grant writing or where grants are, definitely come to our grant info sessions. The next one is going to be January the 11th. And every other week, we do info sessions about what grants are out there. And then sometimes we pick a grant and say, hey, this is one that I feel we all should be applying for. And we do a working group and write that grant together. So we go question by question. So if you have questions about the question, you can ask them. The most recent one that we did was around the investment readiness program. So having that program support, which was a grant up to $75,000 through the Community Foundations of Canada. And there was also the Foundation for Black Communities that had their Black focus stream. So we could apply directly to them if you have a Black focus, or I call them a B3 organization. So Black owned, Black led, and Black serving. So a lot of money flowing. They renewed the investment readiness program for the second time. So it was $50 million that they were dispersing in total, and really making sure that people from our community, business owners, those that are running social enterprises and may not know about it, definitely making sure that they know about this grant and get their applications in. So I was hounding a lot of people that may have came to the info session and said, yes, I'm interested, but then making sure that they got their applications in. And hey, we're going to get the results of that I'll say in early winter, well, late January to early February. We're going to start to hear how much money is flowing to those that came to our sessions. But we can't just rely on one grant. We have to find all the different grants that we qualify for. That's why I don't consider myself like an academic grant writer. I consider myself more of a grant hunter, out there finding whatever grants match the criteria that I can execute and applying for them and stacking as many grants as possible on top. This is where don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you find all the different grants that you qualify for. And a lot of times there's not many. There's not a lot of grants, especially for for-profit companies. So you definitely want to jump on any that exist that you qualify for, and also find ways to partner with nonprofit organizations so that those grants that you typically wouldn't qualify for that are for nonprofits, you in a partnership with a nonprofit can now go after those grants. And I've seen that be successful in my own business with Detailing Nights and partnering with nonprofits to be able to get funding through a source that's typically only for nonprofits. And ACBN, we've partnered with for-profit companies to go after grants and then work together on grants. So definitely keep that in mind. See what grants are out there that you can execute and get creative in how we go after the applications. All right. What else is happening in March? So here in Brampton, Patrick Brown did put his hat into the ring to become the leader of the Conservative Federal Party. So I was at that event. Also, a visitor from Nova Scotia, Bernadette, came to, well, she was in Toronto, and I said, hey, I'd love to meet up with you, show you around. So we picked her up. Well, we met at Bramalea City Center, and then we drove to some of the Black-owned stores. So one of the ones that we visited was Julianne Berry in Bramalea City Center that runs Reveler Afrique. So being able to, one, introduce Bernadette's products and things that she sells in Nova Scotia to Julianne so that she can also carry them in her store. And of course, showing Bernadette some of the ways that Black businesses are coming together to, again, be vendors within a specific space. So now 50 people don't have to all get their own store. 50 people can work with Julianne to be in one store and then get their footing to eventually get their own store. So Bernadette mentioned that there isn't many things like this in Nova Scotia. So being able to bring this concept is something that we're actually still discussing. I remember taking this picture of the town of Brampton. I wonder if I can enlarge it. And it was so interesting to me because you'll see these different lots that are reserved by families. And it made me think that as a community, as a Black community, we should find a location, and it could be in Canada, that we can start to build our own town, our own city. So this is a sneak peek into kind of what's percolating in my mind. But seeing this picture of the town of Brampton, I believe this is in the 1880s. Actually, I think it shows the actual date. I'll find the actual date and share with you after. But in the 1800s, where the concept of Brampton was being formed, and you can see just in the center here is where Four Corners is, and everything around it is bush. So and that's less than 100 years old. Well, now it's what? Actually, a bit more than 100 years. So 100 years from now, we as a community need to look at ourselves and say, what did we start to formulate and build? Because if we have still no place that we can call like a nation within a nation, I feel that we're doing ourselves a disservice because it's possible. And here's the blueprint that Brampton used to build their town. And Brampton's now over 600,000 people. I believe it's still around the 9th largest city in North America. It's amazing what's possible. So this picture reminds me of that. All right. Also happening in March, Black News Channel in the US went out of business. And again, people are finding out that it's not actually Black owned, but now it is Black owned. So Byron Allen of the Weather Channel fame, he's taken over the Black News Channel. I haven't seen it launch. Maybe it has. I haven't been keeping close eye on kind of how it came back, but it's now Black owned. So I'm curious what Byron Allen's gonna do with the Black News Channel. So another event happening at Dream Suites, that Dream Suites YYZ. So shout out to Isaac Olawalafe from Dream Legacy Foundation in partnership with DMZ, and their programming had one of their launch parties for the Black Innovation Fellowship. So I was able to see Eldon Holder Jr. was part of that launch party. So, just showing up to support. Again, a picture here with my first client, I guess you could call her, in Hamilton. So being able to meet with business owners in Hamilton in partnership with ACA Hamilton. So shout out to Evelyn Myrie, who we started working together now. So ACA is the African Canadian Caribbean Association in Hamilton. So ACBN was able to have office space at their office, at ACA's office in Hamilton on King Street, and then meet with local entrepreneurs in Hamilton to learn about their business. And the Juice Kitchen, shout out to Mo, and really just expanding a bit of the footprint for ACBN, and again now seeing how to be local into communities. And I did take a really good page from the BBPA where they opened an office in Little Jamaica on Eglinton. So instead of just being in your office and then doing things virtually and trying to help people, actually get into those cities and those areas of the city and support. So we were able to do that with Hamilton and are looking to do that more. And we actually got some resources to do a bit of expansion. So if you are a person that might want to open a chapter of ACBN, definitely reach out to me. You're getting some secret information right here. April 2022, we had the branding and marketing edition for the First Fridays. Oh, where's my other one? Yeah. So it was a great lineup, and I highlighted it because this was one of the first times we got back in person to do a First Fridays, and it was at Empowered for X, and we were able to have people in the room, in the flesh. I know coming out of the pandemic, our First Fridays went pure virtual and then slowly was coming back. So they were doing their in-person in Toronto, so we were able to do our in-person in Brampton. And of course, the sun started shining, so detailing nights started getting back into the groove, cleaning cars. Shout out to Cleo, one of our summer students. But yes, always love the sun. Thank you to Marcia Ian, so Minister Marcia Ian, MP, and she came to Empowered for X again and having a roundtable to talk about entrepreneurship and how we can support the youth, support women. Shout out to Andrea from Deaf Events. Who was there? All right, who's next? All right, here's another shot from us in Hamilton. Shout out to Gloria that we were able to do a follow-up meeting. Shout out to the team there at ACA. Again, being in the community, getting to learn and really support entrepreneurs on the ground. It's been great. Hey, quick shout out to GC Jerk Express, who was able to open their second location. So initially they, had the Gospel Cafe, if Colin and, oh my gosh, it's gonna come to me. Don't tell me. Colin, no, I have to find it now. Hold on. Lorna, what am I saying? So Colin and Lorna from GC Jerk Express, they were the founders of the Gospel Cafe, switched to a food truck, GC Jerk Express, and then opened their first location in Dream Suites, YYZ, and then shifted to the bigger location on Victoria Park, and now has another location at Weston Road, close to the 401. Shout out to their growth. Definitely want to see GC Jerk Express franchise and be all over Canada, into the US, around the world, hundreds of locations. They definitely have the expertise to do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that growth. Shout out to Alan, Arthur from Caribbean Vibrations, where they came to the office at Empowered for X as well to film, what do you call it? Film a spot about ACBN. I don't know the better name for it. So yeah, they got to interview me and learn a bit more about the genesis of ACBN, where we want to take it, what niche that ACBN focuses on. And when we go back to talking about franchise development, that's where I feel ACBN is beginning to make its sweet spot, is helping entrepreneurs and businesses really fine-tune their operations and get ready to duplicate the machine that they built and franchise it or expand with corporate location. Would definitely exponential growth is where we want to see entrepreneurs get to. Was able to take part in the Black Caucus, so the federal MPs Black Caucus, and this is a demonstration for Black media to talk about the different initiatives that were happening in the Black community. And at this meeting, they did announce that some resources and supports are going to be coming for business owners and media, and wanted to see more Black media platforms come about. So looking forward to seeing that come into fruition. Hopefully that gets into the budget for 2023. So stay tuned. A big shout out to blacktech.ca. They have been running different informational webinars about how to get into tech fields. And I was able to take part in this one about becoming a business analyst. And there's so many jobs available in different factions of technology. Pay attention to what Black Tech is doing. And if you want to get connected with them, I'll find their information and send it to you. But looking at something like a business analyst, something that pays well, and companies are always looking for business analysts, just one of the different jobs and things that happen in IT that Black Tech has been training Black professionals to get into. So stay tuned for more from them. One of our bigger announcements, we launched the first ever Black labor needs assessment for Black businesses in Canada, and in partnership with Dunn-Pierre, Barnett and Associates, being able to launch this rapid assessment in the Southern Ontario region. And now we're going to be able to work with them to expand it nationally. And I know they're working with many partners to extend this nationally, namely the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub. Shout out to Andrea Pierce from there. So being able to see and really get deeper information about what was happening in Southern Ontario with Black entrepreneurs. And we did a full presentation about that as well, just talking about the key findings. But a couple of things that stood out to me. One was the fact that a lot of our businesses are actually nano businesses. So having between 1 to 4 employees, we're technically not even considered small businesses yet. Small businesses are between 50 to 99 employees. So these nano businesses in our community are about 86%. So we're not seeing a lot of our businesses get over that 5 employee hump. And also we're noticing that we're focused on different industries that are not, I'll say, highly investable. We're more concentrated in professional services, arts and entertainment, a bit of IT, and food services. But when 26% of our businesses are in professional services, so lawyers, accountants, and consultants, you'll notice the talent is around the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is the talent, and then they have, I'd say, support that helps them. So typically they don't hire a lot of people because it's very difficult to duplicate that talent. And so when you look at what banks are funding, and they want to see assets and equipment, things that they can kind of use as collateral, a professional is difficult to loan to because they don't have a lot of those assets. So that kind of rang a bell as how do we structure our business to be more capital worthy? And also, if we're not in high tech, then the venture capital typically misses us because they want to see exponential growth type high tech companies. So we're structuring our businesses in a way that's not investable. So that's where ACBN, we're really taking a second look at the programming that we're doing to make sure at a fundamental level, we are supporting entrepreneurs with structuring their business in the right way from the ground up, and then getting them access to capital instead of trying to force capital into something that's not investable. So those things really got the gears moving. So we're learning a lot from that, and we're going to be using it to make a lot better decisions going forward. All right. So this is a shot from the Black-owned Toronto store in Scarborough Town Center. This wall is a majority ebony occasions and some other vendors that have Black focus greeting cards. This is in April as well. Whoa. So my first ever visit or attendance at the Harry Jerome Awards, and it was during their 40th anniversary. Thank you to Farley Flex who invited me as his guest. So being able to attend for the first time, and here's Isaac Olafle and Orlando Bowen. So we were repping Brampton in this picture here. But yeah, getting to, see Black Gala supporting and highlighting excellence in the community, definitely needed, and looking forward to seeing how Harry Jerome grows after their 40th. And shout out to Kathy McDonald, who's a trustee in Brampton Wards 3 and 4. Also, she won a Harry Jerome Award this year. Big fan of Kathy. Keep up the great work. So much work to do in Peel District School Board, but definitely up to the challenge. And here's Nadine Spencer, the current CEO of the Black Business and Professional Association, and also Stephen Wright with his partner, who made a bid to become mayor of Peterborough. And so shout out to him. And hey, campaign wasn't successful, but it's definitely not the end. So shout out to Stephen and looking forward to the next chapter. Okay, so let me pause for a sec. There's not many men that I love in my life. And this man I've never actually met in person, but I love him as a virtual mentor. So Vusi Tembagueo, he is a South African that created venture capital firms and invests into Black businesses in Africa and around the world. Me and my business partner, Chris Beth, we were able to have a meeting with him to get mentoring and learn a bit of how to expand our businesses. So wanted to say thank you to Vusi. Really appreciate you taking the time to mentor us, and we watch all his videos and it's like it felt like you knew him before we got to meet him. So it was definitely a bucket list moment to meet and have a conversation with him. And we're definitely going to make time to get to South Africa eventually, meet this gentleman in person, and possibly attend one of his mastermind sessions. But this was an awesome moment, and we're in May now, so let's keep it moving. So in May, was able to attend the Mississauga Board of Trade Business Excellence Awards and was the guest of Sheridan College. For those that don't know, I am an alumni of Sheridan College and also am one of their inductees into their Business Hall of Fame for, I believe it was 2020. So I was invited to be there as they were announcing that Sheridan College was the winner of the Employer of the Year. So shout out to the president, Janet. Renee from the EDGE program was there as well. Again, Sheridan, we are really proud of the different partnerships that we do have with the college, whether it's the EDGE program with Renee or the research team with Michelle and Brian Chama, really trying to make sure that we do the research needed to create the type of curriculums that can support Black entrepreneurs in the best way possible. And Sheridan's been a great support and partner in that process. All right. And also shout out to Kimberly Shelley. We're part of the Brampton Mayor's advisory group or council, and she won Business Person of the Year with the company Universal Staffing. So big ups to Kimberly, and shout out to your success. And was glad that I was in the room. I didn't know she was nominated, and then she won. So it was awesome to be able to be there and share with her that win. As we continue the tour, Canada Black-owned Marketplace, they are in Brampton as well. So the first store, I believe, was Pickering Town Center. Then they opened a store in Bramley City Center. They now have another store in Erin Mills Town Center, which is a wonderful large space. So if you are a vendor that sells products, you definitely need to touch base with Canada Black Owned Marketplace, because they have space and they definitely want to see more vendors in there so that they can promote your products and support your growth. So don't only look at the option of opening your own store. If you can't, if you're not at that level just yet to open your full brick and mortar store, definitely look at having shelf space at one of these black owned marketplaces, because it's definitely a way to get your foot in the door with minimal cost and then test out retail. And again, they help you understand retail, so it'll help you out a lot. All right. Again, shout out to Jamal. We were at the Club Carib of Oshawa with one of his pop ups. I got to meet, I'm a big fan of Chelsea Stewart. If you don't know, I usually play her initial LP on repeat in my car so my children know. But got to meet her in person for the first time, and also got to meet her mother, Karen Stewart. So Jamal and his mother Sandra loved this picture that Chelsea was there to perform, and also Karen was there with their booth because they also do fresh vegetables and produce from Jamaica. So if you're looking for, and I believe it's Fresh Veg to Go is the name of the company. So if you're looking to get delivery of fresh produce, definitely connect with Karen, because she has that business and we were able to get some products from her. So amazing, amazing. And of course, Chelsea, powerhouse singer. She also performed at the conference, which is the next month. So you might see pictures of that. But in June, she was one of the headline performers at the Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference. So the first ever Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference that was in June of 2022. But before we get to June, we're still in May. So shout out to Rosemary Powell from the Toronto Community Benefits Network. I was able to attend their Building Diversity Awards. So wonderful, spectacular night. I know Derek, our creative director here at ACBN, was there filming. So always a fan of the work that he does, but was glad to be there to support Rosemary and the TCBN team, as they've been big supporters for us from the beginning of ACBN, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. Rosemary was there to support and, again, lend her guidance and be an inspiration of how to run a nonprofit. I've learned a lot from Rosemary, so I wanted to say thank you. As we continue, as I mentioned, in Bramley City Center, there is the Reveler Afrique store. Julianne Berry, who is here, is the owner of the store, and they actually opened another location in Yorkville. So on Bloor Street, if you know the Holt Renfrew building, underneath they have like the Holt Renfrew kind of marketplace. It's part of that building. I forget what the building itself is called, but Reveler Afrique was able to open a temporary pop-up shop in the Holt Renfrew building in the marketplace area. So that was a pretty amazing accomplishment. So shout out to Julianne for that. And now they're really focusing on the Bramley store. So again, if you're a vendor selling products, and it doesn't have to be African themed, but the store is African themed. So if it does fit with that, I would definitely reach out to Julianne. One thing that did happen in May, as you may remember, the shooting in Buffalo. So the Black Community Vigil Association came together to show their solidarity with the victims in Buffalo. So Randall Ajay, who is our poet laureate in Ontario, was able to perform. The Hobble from Black North Initiative, Liban Okafor from the Foundation for Black Communities, and there's at least 40 other organizations that came together to create the Black Community Vigil and really support and show that solidarity. So I was glad to be a part of that. Quick shout out to my man Pharaoh Hamid Freeman in Montreal. So he was in town. I said, hey, we have to hang out. I went and picked him up and said, hey, I want to show you around. So he actually needed an outfit for, I believe it was his his wife's friend's 50th birthday. So I took him to Reveler Afrique, and he was able to get his wares, get a shirt, and be ready for the event. So shout out to Pharaoh. I know we're looking to do a lot more work together as One Full Circle. So sorry, he's the executive director of One Full Circle that's in Montreal. So ACBN and One Full Circle, we are going to be working more purposefully together to leverage our strengths and then support our networks with, again, what we're good at. Farrell's amazing at community building. ACBN's getting better at economic building and supporting entrepreneurs. So we're going to put our two heads together to definitely support business owners in the Black community, or as he says, the melanated community, more effectively, and both in Quebec and in Ontario. So looking forward to that as we go. Side note, I got a logo made for my social enterprise consulting practice. So if you are looking for support with not just getting grants and funding, but also with developing your social enterprise, keep me in mind. I am always here to support. All right, this was my first attempt at attending BuCon because I think I went on the wrong date and they were closed. But side notes, I found this picture. And so if you know the end of that story, when I finally did get to BuCon, we're going to get there in December. I saw this picture in my database, and it was interesting because for those that know me, my credit score has been quite atrocious for a long time. And I've gone through a bankruptcy in the past, and my credit score is in the 400s. So when I got it to this number, it felt like a mini victory. Well, a bigger victory than mini, I would say. So I know it was a long journey getting to this point. So I guess I screenshotted it for that reason. But yeah, it was interesting that was in my list of pictures. And I do remember ACBN was going through a bit of a rebranding, got our new business cards, which I don't think we actually ever printed. So we have to print these because they were created. So 2023, look out for ACBN's business cards. And as I mentioned, with ACBN expanding, this is our Oshawa office. So we had moved into 32 St. Albert in Oshawa, and it was temporary. It was more just for this year, and next year we're going to be actually looking for a different space in Oshawa and also in Ajax. But having this space, again, being in the community in Oshawa to support the local entrepreneurs in Durham is something that we want to do more of. So looking forward to that. All right. And this is a shout out to Ifosa, who's at the University of Toronto. But this gentleman is Marlon Stephen, who's been a mentor of mine and a true inspiration in how to effectively support the Black community, still learning how to get more capital to the Black community. So still wanting to learn from him how to get more investors into the space to support these entrepreneurs that we're working with. But Ifosa is part of, let me see if I can scroll it. So the Black Founders Network that is connected to the University of Toronto. So doing great work to support Black tech talent. And also shout out to Novellum. I was able to meet Melissa here, who's the founder of Novellum, that also has that mandate to really support Black entrepreneurs, specifically in tech. So if you are a Black entrepreneur in tech, definitely reach out to Novellum and the Black Founders Network. They have a lot of great resources for you and more coming all the time. So in June, as I mentioned, first ever Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference was happening, where we touched on education, health, justice, media, political, and social themes. But the overarching theme was, how does entrepreneurship and economic development intersect into each of these themes? So loved the discussion. We had great feedback from those that participated. And our MC for the 3 days was Greg Frankson, author of Africanthology. So definitely get that book if you don't have it already. So great fan. And Doug Minter's here, Raul from FedDev Ontario, who works at the office that did fund us to deliver the conference. So shout out to him. And this is ACBN, our team. And this gentleman, Brian Jenkins, came up from Chicago to give the keynote, and he's been able to build such a strong social enterprise and actually his book is right beside me. So I'm still reading his book, which is called No More Nonprofits, but it's no in KNOW, and it really digs into better ways to structure nonprofits that they're sustainable. And he was able to share with us how he made his nonprofit sustainable by having a social enterprise that was a first he had the building. So the building is a co-working space, and then also having a coffee shop, and then also selling services where they do business training. They're able to sell those services to those that want the training. So multi-revenue stream, multi-income streams into this social enterprise, and also taking on sponsorship dollars and support from the government. So that counts as like 5 different income streams. So when we as business leaders and organizational leaders look at how to bring in dollars into our organizations, we can't be only thinking about one path. We can't just think about one type of funding. We have to look at what's available to us in all different verticals. And Brian's been a great inspiration to learn how to keep our organization sustainable. So glad he was able to make it up from the Windy City. And so day 2, as I mentioned, such a big fan of Favire, we invited her to be the MC for the main day of the conference. And Greg, of course, was the conference MC as well. Wonderful conversations again, how economics and economic development intersects into the different themes of the Black community. Oh, this snuck in here. I'm a big fan of The Simpsons, but this resonated with me because if you're a small business owner, your mind is always going. But anyhow, I digress. So this panel, let me stop. So the keynote for the final day was Eldon Holder Sr., and he was speaking on key principles for building sustainable Black leadership. And it was so profound. I've watched this in this keynote over and over because he lays the groundwork for how, as a community and organizational leaders, we need to connect the nodes that we're all operating kind of in our own silos, and we're all part of the same puzzle though. We all have our own puzzle piece, and we need to connect them together, but there's principles around coming together and working together. So we can't just do it haphazardly. We actually have to be purposeful in how we work together. So that was really profound, his keynote. And it says it right here. It's like, one aspiring entrepreneur and leader at a time. It does start with you and then with us. So from yourself, it connects into others and becomes us. It's needed viewing for anybody that's thinking of this work in the nonprofit sphere or just working in community. We have to understand how to collaborate and amplify our work through cooperation. And this panel with Dr. Pierre and Brian Chama and John from Ethnicity Matters, talking about the data and the Dr. Pierre was able to allude to the Black labor market assessment that we're working on together. So really laying the framework for how we collect our own data, and now how do we use that data to make better decisions was really a well-received panel presentation. Of course, my man Derek Fagan from DF Media Productions was live streaming and filming the entire event. So if you do want to see the footage from the the first ever Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference on our YouTube, and one of the playlists is the conference that has all the different sessions from the conference. So one, catch up and watch those videos, and then book time to be with us in Windsor this June for the second annual Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference. And this was our keynote, Chloe, who came up from the US. Luckily, she was in town for the Collision Conference and was able to talk about her platform that really brings together community activists. So it's excellent to have her there. And her keynote, again, definitely check out the videos in our playlist and check out the her keynote address at the end. It was really, really powerful. So this snapshot, as you'll see, ACBN, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network, is part of now the directory at NACO Canada. So we are, I believe, the second. I'm pretty sure Dream Legacy Foundation is also on this list, but we are one of the first Black organizations to be part of the National Association of Capital, NACO, yes, National Association of Capital Organizations. So NACO, they bring together all the accelerators and angel investor organizations, and ACBN is now part of this directory on the way to becoming one of the startup visa designated accelerators. So stay tuned for that. That's in the background working. It's taking time, but we're going to be able to help companies from overseas immigrate to Canada to open up their offices here. And of course, founders can then come and live in Canada and build their businesses. So stay tuned for us building out that. One of the highlight interviews that we got to have was with Dr. Carrie Yazid, who's in the US in Louisiana. And if you haven't heard this interview, I would definitely go to the Morning Vibe and support Dr. Vibe and his channel. And actually, I do have a request. So he is on his way to getting 1,000 subscribers. So after I wrap this up, I'm going to send a note to those on my list so that we can go to his YouTube channel. And I think he's 11 away. So it will be a surprise for him, but we are going to get him over that $1,000 subscriber mark tonight. So that's going to be a challenge. Look out for the message. If you're watching this right now, go to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, become a subscriber. Hey, maybe we get past 1,000 before I even realize. But if we're not there, I'm gonna send out that message and ask you to go to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and let's get our friend past 1,000 subscribers, because that does unlock some new features from YouTube. So let's do that for our friend. And definitely listen to this episode, because Dr. Yazid's view on diversity, equity, and inclusion, this whole DEI space, is very insightful. And she's been at it for over 20 years. So she's seen kind of the in and outs and how the ebb and flow of DEI work has been somewhat not as effective as it could be. So I would check out that interview as well. This was us attending the vegan show to support our friend Anthony from A+ Smoothies. So the kiddos got to get some vegan hot dogs, man. I totally spaced and didn't realize that the hot dogs were going to be vegan too. Not the greatest, but other elements, other vegan stuff. The smoothies, of course, are amazing. So we got to enjoy the vegan show. Okay, one thing to identify, I did win the Stronger Together Award. So thank you to SEDNet. Where's SEDNet? Yeah. So SEDNet for nominating me and also awarding myself this award. It was an honor, and I've been able to work more closely with SEDNet, not just become a member, but also be on their policy advisory team now. So wanting to, again, be more purposeful with how I work with these organizations. And SEDNet does such a great job of connecting community organizations across Canada I feel the Black community needs a version of SEDNet, or we should probably just plug into SEDNet and say, hey, let's become members of umbrella organization that allows us to really connect the nodes. So something to think about. And so this is a picture of my wife and I opening the keys or opening the home. Oh my gosh, opening the door to our new home. So we were able to purchase our first home in June. So yay. Thank you. One thing that came out of the entrepreneurship ecosystem conference was how do we continue the momentum? So I want to do a shout out to SETSI, which is run by Jalissa Brown and Victor Bosele and Maat and other team members. But it stands for the social economy through social inclusion. So I was able to work with Victor to put together a study group that meets each Tuesday night to discuss the Black Empowerment Manifesto and ways that we can really continue the conversation from the conference, use the manifesto as a blueprint so that we can have direction and consistency as we're working to support the Black community and continue to build. So shout out to those that have been able to attend. An amazing platform that has started to develop out of the study group is Mkutano. So shout out to Patrick Cole, who's been able to develop it and using Mkutano as a platform to organize ourselves. And know a lot of organizations and leaders are here and there, but having a central place to really organize all that is happening in the Black community is going to be game changing. So I'm looking forward to 2023, really mapping more of who is where in the ecosystem so that if you need to know, there's a place to go and to find that information. All right. In July, my children, I'll say all my children, my Detail Ignites children, and my actual children, we were able to attend the youth entrepreneurship, celebration event through the Entrepreneurship Innovation Space for Black Youth, run by Chris Beth and her team, Joelle and Jesse. So we were able to attend, learn a lot, and take a picture together. Again, thank you to Jamal from Empro Graphics and Sandra. We ran a business lunch and learn in Durham. Chris Beth, my business partner, and myself, we presented. She touched on how to identify that target market and be very clear. I touched on how to get that funding, what funding is out there, which ones I was successful with, and which ones we help people apply for. So great energy in the room. Thank you to Jamal for the invitation. One thing that has begun to develop and gain momentum is the cooperative called Calabash. So Calabash, every quarter they do their mastermind. So something, if you're an expert service provider in the community and are looking to get more contracts and work with businesses or nonprofit organizations, definitely think of joining Calabash, because Calabash has created a way that, one, we can learn together as expert service providers, and two, we can get access to more opportunities, whether they're requests for proposals, RFPs, or contracts, or just consulting jobs that people are looking to fill. Definitely Calabash will keep you in the loop. So look at joining that directory as well. All right. So in July, was able to head back to Halifax. The last time I was in Halifax was in 2020, 1 week before the world shut down for COVID. I was in Halifax. So it was great to get back. And it was interesting because as I'm leaving Halifax, I bump into Francis Jeffers, who, as I'm entering Halifax, he was leaving. So it was good to see him in the airport. But I was in Halifax for the National Black Canadian Summit and got to see Evelyn Myrie, who's the executive director of ACA, as I mentioned, in Hamilton, the African Canadian Caribbean Association. And I got to see Andrea Pierce, who is the executive director of the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub. And again, on the tour, we got to visit various historical sites and also museums in Halifax and in Nova Scotia. Got to be present. So the National Black Canadian Summit is put on by the Michael Jean Foundation. This is the Parse and Doug Minter from the Black Chamber of Commerce. But this summit, one thing I will say, it definitely brought a lot of Black leaders together. One thing that I would love to see, of course, is the momentum afterwards. How do we keep it going? I know they did a declaration for Halifax with certain demands of the government, but now is the National Black Canadian Summit. So we do have to look at what is happening nationally and how do we amplify those voices. But definitely, we should start in Nova Scotia because a lot of great work is happening there. And shout out to Roger, who I was introduced to by Paul Green, who is looking at how to keep their land that they have in Nova Scotia. And if anything can be done by those outside of Nova Scotia is to support those fights that are happening, because we've seen land being taken away, and they're very systematically and methodically taking more and more land away from our Indigenous brothers and sisters in Nova Scotia. So really listening and seeing what support is needed in Nova Scotia. And when it's time for us to lend that support with the marching orders, we should be ready to hit. But yeah, the summit, it was nice. And I feel we should keep that momentum going and be more effective. Here's a picture. Favor, I'm a big fan of Favor. Farley's here. Michael Forrest from the Black Chamber. Ahmed Hussein, Minister Ivor Christopher from PACU, which is the Pan-African Credit Union. So if you haven't made your pledge for our Black-owned, Black-run financial institution, definitely go to pacu.ca, pacu.ca, and pledge. Doug Minter's here from the Black Chamber. Michelle from the Black Chamber, Dr. Pierre from DP Barnett and Associates. This was, oh my gosh, Charles Matthews from CMJ Entertainment. We got to go to the Emancipation Day at, oh my gosh, Emancipation Park in Brampton. So if you didn't know, Brampton renamed one of their parks Emancipation Park. Actually should have took a picture of the sign, but we got to go to the park for Emancipation Day, and it was emceed by Charles, so that was great. Shout out to Christopher Lawrence, who put together a pop-up for Black entrepreneurs. Here's my my media partner, Dr. Vibe, who came out to support, and I was there repping both companies. So Detailing Nights and Knighthood Academy, and we started manufacturing our own products, cleaning products, and ACBN, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network banner, which was printed by Christopher Lawrence and Frequency Event Promotions. So if you're looking for promotional material, definitely touch base with Christopher. And I believe they do printing of all sorts. So business cards, flyers, shirts, all that. All right, so two things happening here. So one, I was able to visit the Canadian Association of Urban Financial Professionals 25, no, this was not the 25 year. This was just their meet and greet mixer. So their current chair president is Halima. So I got to say hi to Halima. I used to be on the board. So I was a volunteer with Halima, and now she's become the president of the board. So congratulations to her. And also the Caribbean Tales Festival is happening. This was Jean Augustine being interviewed because her, I guess it's a documentary about her progress through the legislature and all that she's done was being premiered at Caribbean Tales Festival. But this day was just the launch, and then they had the premiere a few days later. Oh, there we go. All right. What was else was happening in August? So in August, Dr. Winston LaRose got a declaration from the University of Toronto. So this was happening at the Jane and Finch celebration. It was actually at York Gates, the mall kind of adjacent from Jane and Finch Mall. So Peter Blake here from Jamaican Express, and they were recognizing Dr. Winston LaRose for the work that he's done in the community. In September, I was able to travel out to Edmonton for the first time ever. I stepped foot in Alberta, and thank you to Sharif from the Africa Center for the invitation to their gala. I believe it was their 15th or 16th gala. And because they do a lot of work with entrepreneurship and they're part of the entrepreneurship ecosystem, I had to show my face and represent for ACBN, the Afro Caribbean Business Network. This year, we got to attend and represent at TIFF for the first time ever, the Toronto International Film Festival, thanks to Tanya Williams of fame and glory. If you don't know her, she is decorated actress, most known probably for her role on Young and the Restless, but she runs Real World Film Festival, which has been in operation for over 20 years. So Real World is also part of the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem. So I was able to attend her event that she was bringing her participants in the program. So film students and directors and producers are in her cohort, and they were doing somewhat of a launch party for them. So I was able to attend and meet some of them there. In October, I was able to attend the book launch for Wes Hall, No Bootstraps When You're Barefoot. I appreciated that he signed it. I didn't think, because there's a lot of books to give away, but he personalized each one for the people there. So thank you to Wes Hall. And I got my copy of No Bootstraps When You're Barefoot. In November, we had the Buy Blacks Restaurant Week going strong. One of the participating restaurants, Scott Hill, where we also do First Fridays from in Toronto. But shout out to all the different restaurants that took part, such as Sugarcane Restaurant and Buchan, Caribbean Queen, just to name a few. Star Apple out in Bowmanville. I believe Star Apple's in Bowmanville. But I got to try so many different cuisines and so many different Black-owned restaurants. But now we want to keep that momentum going. So in 2023, I'm trying to document now who has the best oxtail. So if you stay tuned, I'm going to be on the hunt for the best oxtail. If you know of who has the best oxtail, I need you to put it in the chat or send me a message, because I will go there and verify. I've been to a few already, but I have to see who can keep up to this gold standard, which is my father. His oxtail is premium. The bell curve is graded against my father's oxtail. So we're going to see who GTA, and as far as I can get to, has the best oxtail at their restaurant. So stay tuned. We'll call it the Oxtail Hunter. Actually, I need to get that Instagram handle, so stay tuned for that. All right. So November, also got to attend. This is where COFP, the Canadian Association for Urban Financial Professionals, had their 25th anniversary at the Arts Gallery of Ontario. So it was wonderful to see the CIBC folk, Austin and Kavan, in front of a TD banner, see collaboration and cooperation even amongst the big banks. I love it. Andrea from the Black Opportunity Fund, got to meet her in person for the first time, and Doug Minter from the Black Chamber was also there. All right. One of the wonderful events that I was able to take part of was the People's Social Impact Conference. Again, shout out to SETSI, the Social Economy Through Social Inclusion, run by Victor Beausoleil, Jalissa Brown, and Ma'at. And fun fact, this wonderful gentleman here is Victor Beausoleil's father, and I got to get a quick picture from him. So shout out to Mr. Beausoleil. I appreciate you taking the time to pose for a quick picture. But the People's Social Impact Conference, again, really great conversation. We have to keep the momentum going and keep the conversation going as well. All right. So I did want to show this video. Let me see. I queued it up properly. So if you don't know, Robert Small of Legacy Poster fame, he's been doing the Legacy Poster for over 25 years. A different poster every Black History Month, was awarded the Order of Canada. So let me see if I can. Here we go. Make sure the sound is happening. All right, wonderful. I'm hoping that you're able to hear that. But so he was awarded the Order of Canada, but then wasn't able to get it in person until recently. So this is the ceremony for those that all received the Order of Canada. So wanted to give a shout out to Robert Small. And let me see. So now into December, I want to real quick before we wrap up. Um, in December, we're able to, have First Fridays at. It's so terrible. We had our year anniversary, and I didn't take a lot of pictures. So on this one, I did take was the after dinner with the ACBN team. So the Afro Business Network, we turned 5 years old. We were able to have the event back at where we first had our event 5 years ago, Kuzi Ski Chalet. Actually, let me see if in Instagram I put any pictures up. I know we did an Instagram live to my daughter, but because she had my phone the whole time, I didn't take a lot of pictures. So really quick, I wanted to see if I did take any, if I did post any pictures about it. Oh, I haven't signed in. All right, no worries. So we just party again. All of those that were able to attend the 5 year anniversary, we went after to Grumpy's, which is a new restaurant here in Brampton. So shout out to the owner Grumpy, and thank you to the AC. Wonderful 5 years, and of course a wonderful 2022. Oh, and shout out to Rakai, joined us for dinner after doing amazing work in the carpentry field as a contractor and representing for local. I think it's 27, the union that she's part of, but a big inspiration for those that want to get into contracting in the trades. Oh no, I hit the wrong button. power is at full tilt. Right. So let's see real quick just before we wrap up. I think we're doing good for time. We what is it doing? Okay. Wow, it's really going slow. All right. So let's just not forget. So the one last thing that we wanted to touch on is a review of 2022. Let me see if I can find it. So another wonderful thing that was happening, Southwestern Black Entrepreneur Network. So I was able to drive out to him to support them in this launch. Shout out to Colin, who's part of it, which is an organization also part of the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem. Shout out to Nikki Clark, who's part of the Black Chamber of Commerce Hamilton Division. Then they had launch in Hamilton and also in Windsor. So was able to drive out to Windsor and support the Swoben launch out there. I did take some pictures of Windsor. Yes. So shout out to Shalem, Envision, because Envision, they had their spread. To Ashley and her sisters. So Leo is the executive director of Empower Squared. She is the co-founder with her sisters of Black-owned Hamilton. And Ola, who runs the Nigerian Entrepreneurship Center, and SEEP, and Colin, of course, from Empowered Squared. And they had a wonderful panel in when on of 2020, which was event that was. All right. Oh, actually, really quick, just before we talk about the last event, say shout out to Kente Claus, who my children were able to see. Always appreciate you, Kente Claus. Is as my computer revs up. Oh, just before the last one. So I want to say thank you to Peace, the Community Alliance of Services and Empowerment. I was able, ACBN was one of the sponsors. Their gala, MP Camille Cara was there, the Minister of Seniors for the federal government. So shout out to Peace. All right. And then final one, 22, myself, Ryan Knight, turning 40 years old. There's Jazzy, her friends, Melissa. And shout out to Jamal, who does the big number and letter rentals. Excellent work. Shout out to LA Wade, a big fan of. And this is when Ryan finally got to attend Buchan. So shout out to the team there, Amir and Amanda from Edible Bliss. Buchan, wonderful place. We should be doing more events there. Definitely want to make it into the hangout spot. So I want to thank again everyone for the support over the years. 2022 was wonderful. I will wrap up here. I'll head back in and thank you. As 2022 wraps up, I'm a fan of 2022. We've made a lot of progress. 2023. Listen, we've been battle tested. If this pandemic from 2020 and kind of still lingering hasn't made us primally aware of that anything is possible, we have to be prepared and plan for anything, but then execute that plan. So, what do they say? Prepare for the worst, plan for the best, or prepare for the worst, hope for the best. 2023 is now the year of that focus. Really, I used 2022 as a way to filter out those that were not moving me forward. And so, things that are happening around you, if they're causing negative energy, it's time to start filtering those out. Leave them in 2022 and focus on those things that were giving you positive energy. And let's do more of that. Those things that earn you more money, let's do more of that. And let's be very purposeful about how we use our time in 2023 and use it to support each other. So just before you run, remember, I challenged you to go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show. We're gonna try and get it over. We're gonna try and get it over 1,000. So I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna do this in real time. Let me just see if this works. She's at. Oh, I need to share my screen. If you're doing your New Year's, feel free. Go Year's. I want before I come out of 2022, we are going to vibe to 1,000 subscribers. So we have 25 minutes. So if you can do this with me, go to YouTube. I'm going to send this message out to my family. The link on YouTube, the Dr. Vibe. Struggling right now. He's at 989 subscribers. Okay, how do we share? I need to share the channel. Here we go. Gosh, patience. Okay, Dr. Vibe. Dr. Vibe Show. Vibe. So is subscribers me see if I can get it back. Oh, are we back now? I think I did one. Right, I think we're back now.